Hello and welcome. My name is Mehboob Ali. Today we are going to create mirroring in SQL Server. SQL Server 2014 we are using. In order to perform mirroring concept is that we create one server and we have one database in the server and we want to make the copy as a backup server on another location. It could be um, another server on different location, or it could be the different instance on same server. In case something goes down to main server, then mirror server will activate. In order to perform this, we have this set up on this machine. I have VMware installed on my machine, and I have created one domain, and I'm using SQL Server C and SQL Server D. I have two server machine on VMware that I'm going to use as a mirror. I have this servers open already. I can show you right here. I have main server, SQL Server C and SQL Server D, and I have to open domain server as well. So this is my domain server. Domain server is the main server, and I have to create a user called Kim Akers, and domain name is Contoso. These are the tasks that we need to perform for the mirroring. First of all, we have to make the mirror. For the mirror, we mainly use two server. One is called primary and one is called mirror. You can call it principal as well. And there is also third server called witness server. In this example, I'm not using witness server. Then I have to use domain controller, Contoso, as I said before, and two server, SQLC as a principal server and SQLD as mirror server. Both server have same SQL Server version 2014 installed and log in using Active Directory user Contoso Kim Akers. This is Contoso is the domain name and Kim Akers is the username. So I'm using this user to log on SQL Server instance on SQL Server SQLC and SQLD server. We have installed all three computers on VMware and make sure that domain control, SQL servers SQLC and SQLD all up and running. So we notice that we have two server was open, and I just turn on the domain server. It's just picking up. So let's continue the points that we're going to cover in this session. First of all, we need to create a folder called backup on both machines, SQLC and SQLD. Name it backup. So this folder we use to copy our backup and transaction log files. Then we need to create a database called test mirror on SQL Server C. This would be our principal server, and we're just taking one table called employee with employee number, first name, last name, and salary. This would be the columns in this table. We will going to set up database in full recovery mode. Then we'll take full backup and save the backup file under folder C backup on C drive. And then we take transaction log and copy under backup folder. From C, we copy these two files on D, SQLD under backup folder, and restore backup file and transaction log file with no recovery mode. Then we have to set up port 5022 on server C, D, and domain controller. And we have to build the rule for SQL Server. So we can communicate through this port. Later on, we open SQL Server Configuration Manager and we make sure that all the services using the Active Directory user account. Finally, we create endpoint using task mirroring option. Under mirroring, we select configure security and we go through with the menu. And if everything is performed correctly, we will see mirror server on SQL Server D. So these are tasks that we are going to do. Let's start and we go step by step all these tasks. So I'm just waiting that my um, domain server up and running and then we can continue. So I'm just pausing the recording for a minute. Okay, so domain controller is ready. Log on to domain controller. We have created this user, Kim Akers. This is the account that we have used to install SQL Server instance on server SQLC and SQLD. In this all session, we have to keep this domain running. Now we go to SQLC and SQLD. So you see that these both shows the same account that we have on our domain controller. So when we install these instance of SQL Server on these machine, we use this account. So just want to make sure that both machines are using same version of SQL Server 2014 and same account that we going to use. Now, according to test mirror. So before going that, I will create a folder called backup. So I have created already a backup folder on this machine. So under C, I have this backup, and on SQLD, I have already created this folder as well. So on SQLC, when we create backup, we save under this folder. So I have some files already in this folder. So you will see backup file, something like that, the database that we're going to create. So let's start and create new database on C. So you see already I have 3 instances open, one domain controller and SQLC and SQLD. Just to make the work easier, I will minimize this D and go to full screen so we can see everything clear. New database. Database name is called test mirror. So I have this database right here, and we're going to create new table called employee. The column name we are using EMP number. We're keeping is integer. And we want this auto increment, and we want this as a primary key. Next column we have first name. and varchar 50, last name and varchar 50, and salary. We're taking this numeric 8. So we save it and we call it employee. Now we just want to add some records in here. So I will fill some record and come back again. So I'm just pausing to say something. Okay, so I just fill in a few records in this table and I'm going to save it. Fine, we have some records here. And now I'm going to create backup of this database. So first of all, we need to check the recovery mode. It should show full under properties. So if you right click on database and go under properties, and under option you will see full recovery mode. Now we need to take backup of this database. So we say backup test mirror full backup, and we want to use our folder on C drive backup that we use, and the file name we choose test mirror backup. Full backup, overwrite all existing backup set. I'm not appending anything. And we're good. So backup is complete successfully. We can see this file should show under. I will create another connection to SQLD, so we don't have to open this another instance. So we can just link SQLD server database in here. So this will be another connection. So I'm going to use SQLD and connecting to this database. So now in this database, I think previously we tried to make something in here. So in this database, we don't have test mirror, right? But on C, we have this database. So now what we're trying to do is from C, we're going to restore that database in here. So let's do this. Restore database. So we're choosing device. Okay, I'm having issues. So I have this share folder from backup, I have copied these two files on this share folder. SQL Server Backup, and I have copied these two files. So now I'm going on server D, and I will pick these files on server D from there. So restore, device, add, okay, give me a break, please. So I'm copying these files from share folder to, I think this was the reason that I initially uh, used two folders. So I'm going on C backup and I copy these files here. So I have these copies under backup folder. Now, if I say add, go back to backup, I have these two files here, right? So I'm choosing this backup file. Oh, finally. Okay, so in options, we have to choose restore with no recovery, overwrite existing, and here we are focusing on backup folder, which is this. And for the log as well, we focusing on backup folder. Restore failed. So we have restored database successfully on D drive. So what basically we did, like we have one folder, which is share folder here. And in this share folder, I just use this SQL Server and backup folder. And from C, I copy those files on this share folder. So if I go on instance C, I have this share folder as well. So from C backup folder, I copy on the share folder on this server, SQLC, and on SQLD, I pick up these files from the share folder and dump into C backup. And now I'm restoring these files into SQLD. So backup file restored successfully. And now we are going to uh, restore transaction. So you can see the test mirror is in restoring mode now. So once again, restore. Transaction log. Okay. Give me a break, people. Restore database, device, and we using transaction file. Same as option, no recovery mode. And we are not changing for now anything until we see if something goes fail. Okay, so um, too short transactions. So I might check like if there is a problem later on. So now we're moving on to setting up the port. For that, we have to go under Control Panel, System Security, and this will be Firewall Setting. So under Advanced Setting, we have Firewall setup off on this machine, and inbound rules, we need to create new rules. So from here, I have to select port, which port I'm selecting. We have to define port number 5222, TCP/IP port, allow all connections. So we selecting this for domain and private, and we call it the rule name. So I will stop here because next step is finished. So we just name it SQL Server. I have this rule already created here, SQL Server port 5022. So this name we have to give here and click finish, and it will open up the port. So this was the process that I want to show you. I have this already set up, so I don't need it. I will cancel it. So this port I open in SQLD. Same thing we have to do on C and on our domain controller to create our mirror in SQL Server SQL C. So that's our test mirror, and we're going to create mirror. We're not using witness server. So here test mirror is showing principal and synchronize. And if we look into SQLD, test mirror is showing in recovery mode. So we can run any transactions in here in this database. And for some reason, if this is fail, the other one will take over. So we have these records, and if we're trying to use this, so now it's showing mirror and synchronize. So what we have covered in all this in our session, so we use two primary and mirror databases, so two separate instances. We use domain server account. We have SQL Server. One more thing I need to check it here that I forgot, sorry about that. We also need to check under configuration tool using configuration manager. Let's say yes. So do you see this SQL Server is showing log on as domain account? All these services are running the domain account on SQL Server. Same as we'll check on D. So again, all these services are using same account, except this one. This is a reporting server, so I have SharePoint server set up on this machine, but we don't need. So mainly we check for SQL Server service account, and it has the same user as we have on SQLD. So we have covered almost all these points, and we can see that test mirror is showing principal. So that's it, guys. Any question, please feel free to send me email. Thank you.